I'm Scott Munn, along with Tug Cowart at the Warrior Alliance Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. If you know a veteran searching for their second career, you'll want to turn up the volume and listen closely as we meet Mike Collins, a former Marine with a 17-year career at the Wellstar Health System, a company that is truly warrior committed. We'll talk about his military service, transition into civilian life, and how veterans can find a career with Wellstar using their veteran business resource group, Wellstars and Stripes, in partnership with the Warrior Alliance. Marine Sergeant Mike Collins was a military police officer stationed in Japan and South Carolina and deployed to Haiti and Hungary during the Kosovo conflict. These days, Collins is the Director of Organization Development at Wellstar, where he combines his skills and experience from his Marine Corps, law enforcement, and healthcare backgrounds. Mike coaches leaders across the organization to guide them through complex situations and empower them to navigate challenges and reach their full potential. Former Marine Mike Collins of the Wellstar Health System, welcome to the Warrior Alliance Network.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here.
Certainly is. You joined the Marine Corps, made it to sergeant and as a military police officer, deployed to Japan, Haiti, and Europe during the Kosovo conflict, as Scott referenced. And when you look back at your military career, how do you reflect on that today? How did it shape you?
Yeah, so looking back today, I think my outlook is much different today than it was right at the point of getting out of the Marine Corps. Today, I can look back and really see how I had foundation and leadership established during that time period. At the point of getting out, though, I would have had a different viewpoint of my experience there. I wouldn't have seen everything that, all the skills that it had provided.
Yeah, you got a lot of skills there, but the thing is, besides just being, you're kind of in two roles when you're MP, and I know this because my father served in the Army, as we talked about before the show. He was also an MP, a provost marshal in the Army, and you're two things. You're a soldier, but you're also a policeman, and it's really kind of a tough method of service. A lot of folks don't know that. And it seems like it might be always tough, but you also have kind of community leadership role, as all policemen do. And one interesting thing I read about you online is that while you're an MP and dealing with animal control at Parris Island, that you started a plan to protect dogs and cats that was later adopted by the entire Marine Corps. Is that right? Tell that story. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was that was one of my last assignments as a military police officer. I oversaw animal control, and we got a phone call from Laurel Bay housing area where a neighbor had called in. That's military housing, where a neighbor had called in and stated that somebody had left. They had moved out of the residence, and a pit bull dog was tied up in the backyard and had a chain around its neck. And when I got there, the chain was so embedded in the neck that the dog had also been without food and water. It had pulled and ripped the collar apart. The leather had rotted from being inside the skin. And so I took it over to Parris Island we had a veterinarian clinic over there, and I worked with a wonderful veterinarian there on base. And she was able to get it back to health. Long story there, but she worked it back to good health. I was able to track down who the owner was. And so we started a process at that point, which is now very common in civilian life, of making sure that animals are microchipped. And we did that based on that case, making sure that no animal was left behind as people's getting out of the military or PCS into another base.
Goodness gracious, we don't deserve dogs. And as people, because dogs are the most loyal, the most precious animal on the face of the earth, if you ask me. So what you did there, man, that's God's work. I'm telling you, there's nothing. I can't compliment you more than doing what you did. That's amazing.
And how did the program expand from there?
Yeah, so the veterinarian owned it. She is Army. She serves in the Army. She was able to take that and she really boosted it up as a program where all bases were then required to microchip animals based on that single case. We were able to come up with federal charges on the individual because they were getting out of the Marine Corps at the time that they left the animal behind.
Wow, it's amazing. So you affected positive change, not only serving our country, but leaving a legacy, really, right. So that We'll have
Your
a better
thumbprint.
force.
Your
Yeah.
thumbprint is forever on the Marine Corps,
I mean,
man.
that's fantastic.
It's
That's
unbelievable. It really is.
And now we'll get into Wellstar and how you help veterans find jobs with, within the healthcare industry in a few minutes. But let's talk first about your story a little bit more. You transitioned out of the military and out of military law enforcement into civilian law enforcement. How did that go for you?
Yeah, so my last duty station was in Beaufort, South Carolina. When I got out, everybody's got to make a decision. Are you going to go back home? Are you going to follow your buddies who's getting out at the same time, et cetera? And so for me, it was an easy transition, or I thought it was going to be easy, going into law enforcement. To me, it was just, changing uniforms. Beaufort County Sheriff's Office has a lot of retired military personnel there, especially Marines, and so I thought it was going to be the same. It actually wasn't. So when you got there, the camaraderie is never the same as it is in the military.
That's irreplaceable.
You show up, everybody's got your back, and then end of your shift, you clock out, you go home. That's it. And so, just a major change there. And it was a pretty decent transition, though.
Well, civilian law enforcement is just a little bit different when you're on duty with military policing. I mean, it's just a different vibe, if you will. I mean, and it's a little more. It seems like it's a little more relaxed. I mean, you're not talking to people who have to respect your rank all the time, right? And it's just it's the same uniform. It's not the same.
Well,
uniform.
it's a uniform.
It's a uniform.
Yeah, with a badge and some authority behind it. But it is, like you're saying, they're just so totally different.
So we've heard stories about other veterans who've had kind of career pivots. It didn't really work for you in the civilian law enforcement world, and you experienced some bad things. What I hear. So is that what prompted the decision for you to move and look for a new career?
Yeah. So I got into becoming a deputy sheriff. When I did that. About 2 years after becoming a deputy sheriff, then two of my partners got shot and killed on January 8th, 2002. I remained with the sheriff's office for another 3.5 years or so. And at that point, I became a field training officer, just started seeing myself really turning into somebody that I had it. And it was a lot like military veterans experience who have been overseas and lost people. When I was in the Marine Corps, I did not do that. In civilian world, it happened. So I just started seeing myself becoming somebody that I wasn't. And I never even imagined going into healthcare. That was not in my playbook because that wasn't from past experience. But I had a wonderful medical director over the emergency department in Beaufort who really said, "Hey, if you want an opportunity, come let me know if you want to get out of law enforcement." So I took advantage of that, and he brought me done on the job training with me. And that's what started me over in the healthcare field, and was my major pivot point was true burnout, where I was making myself sick every day before I go to work.
Wow.
But then get in my car and a switch would flip in my head where I would start just becoming a little more aggressive or viewing people in a manner that wasn't me.
How would you tell other veterans who kind of go right into something that's similar as their MOS was in the military? How would you tell them now in retrospect how to avoid burnout?
Yeah, so I think that there's a study by William Bridges, if anybody's interested. It's Bridges' transition model. And I think we need to be very intentional. We hear about transition when you're transitioning out of the military, when you're transitioning out of jobs. We really need to take time to process. There's 3 phases. And his statement is that every new beginning starts with an ending. So we need to identify what are we giving up. And the moment we step off of base, life changes. So what are we giving up? The camaraderie, and we need to process through that. Sometimes it's a grieving process. If you keep that tucked away, and I know several veterans that's been out for years, but they're still living in the past. They haven't been able to really give that up. So how do we work through that? And then how do we move forward in a different mindset? I think if I'd known that back at the time of getting into law enforcement, I would have taken a different approach.
Goodness.
Great advice.
Listening to the Warrior Committed podcast for the Warrior Alliance with our guest Mike Collins, Director of Organizational Development at Wellstar. You can find him on LinkedIn at SGT Sergeant, at Sergeant Michael Collins, SGT Michael Collins. Of course, their website, wellstar.org, and the Warrior Alliance is thewarrioralliance.org. You started a new career in healthcare after you left the police department. As a tech in the emergency room at Wellstar Health System, now the Director of Organizational Development. Like, how does that one lead to the other? Because one seems, and I know you've been there 17 years, and I get that. But, I mean, that's quite a jump from a person boots on the ground doing the hard work to someone now leading the organization doing the hard work.
Yeah, so that's the great thing about healthcare. Number one, healthcare organizations. And a lot of veterans kind of shoot down the idea of healthcare because they just think nurses and doctors. Healthcare organizations they provide so many opportunities. Any job to me, it's very similar to the military because you can, if you want to become a cook, if you want to do facility maintenance, if you want to do patient care or non-patient care. And so out of those 17 years, I was adding it up on my drive in. I've held 8 different roles or positions. And so it allows growth, internal growth and opportunities. And if you go about it with a growth mindset and don't box yourself into I can only be, or I'm only going after such and such title, and go about it with a growth mindset, then you can have those opportunities.
Goodness. Let's talk about Wellstars and Stripes, which is cool. A great name, too. Describing Wellstar's commitment to veterans. I mean, that's a big deal for Wellstar, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it is. Very interesting fact. 5 out of 11 hospitals that we have they have hospital presidents that are veterans. And so that's a statistic that a lot of people are unaware of. And so we are committed to making sure that when a veteran joins the organization that they feel welcomed, that they do have a sense of camaraderie, that even if we're not in the same unit as them, that we're able to navigate them through the organization, answer questions, connect them with resources. So even if it's not within Wellstar, maybe they need veteran benefits. How do we assist them with that? And also, partnering with organizations like the Warrior Alliance, and that's really benefited us as well.
I'm going to just piggyback on that a little bit because the family of veterans are incredibly important. Obviously, Scott is an Army brat, and there's so many people listening now that are military spouses and family members. Is that something that you guys pay special attention to, our military spouses?
Yeah, 100%. And a prime example is over in Wellstar recently acquired the Medical College of Georgia over in Augusta. And with the military base there, we have a lot of spouses that work there. And so we understand that, hey, you're going to probably only be with us for 2 years. That's okay. We're going to help you get a job. We're going to support you, and we're going to help you with that transition. Also, family members over at any of our other locations, they're just as important as the military service member or veteran. And so making sure that they have the resources for their spouse as well.
Did you come up with Wellstar and Stripes?
That was a collective.
Dude, I'm telling you,
that was a collective.
That may be the best kind. That may be the best one that we've heard yet.
Yeah, that branding person needs a raise. That's good stuff. Wellstars and Stripes.
Yep.
Well, tell me a little bit more about Wellstars and Stripes as far as going out and recruiting veterans to come into the organization. Is that part of the thing? Is that where you sort of partner with the Warrior Alliance? And how does a veteran listening right now or a family member sort of get in touch and start the process? Should they just go to thewarrioralliance.org first, or do you have any special place that they should reach out to y'all?
Yeah, so my recommendation with that is if anybody's interested in having conversations, one, you just shared my LinkedIn. They're free to reach out to me. I'm a certified coach. I can help them kind of think through some outside opportunities.
What do you mean, coach? Also, I don't mean to interrupt, but what do you mean certified coach? What does that mean?
So certified professional coach. So you come to me with a challenge. I'm going to help you discover the answer from within. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, help you navigate through that challenge on your own. And so a lot of times people are stuck. They don't know where to go. They keep getting shot down. So let's talk about maybe doing some exercises with career mapping and, finding out what your true priorities is. Is it money? Is it job security? Is it job mobility? what's most important to you, and navigating through that and helping you understand where you're going to be beneficial. So, but yes, with the Warrior Alliance, they can reach out to the Warrior Alliance, who is in contact with us. Also go to wellstar.org, click on careers, and look at the various careers, apply. And networking is very important. I believe very strongly in that. So go to LinkedIn, start sending messages, letting people know that you applied.
And you were a first responder as a sheriff, and you sort of transferred into the ER, which was sort of in the first responder realm as well. Do folks have to come in that kind of a route, or is there an administrative entry point?
No, that's the great thing about Wellstar. We also have a career pathway. So if somebody wants to come in at an entry-level position, maybe they want to come in as a security officer, armed or unarmed. They might want to come and work facilities. Upon your first day at Wellstar, we have what's called career care, and we'll pay 100% books and tuition for you to get into certain clinical areas. We're working on a second phase right now, but there's certain job areas that we're going to pay 100% books and tuition. Now, you also have your GI Bill. How you use that is up to you, but we're going to pay the school directly on your behalf.
It's a great. Yeah, it's a great plan for sure.
Let's let you have a chance to coach right now. I know you usually coach individuals, but let's coach everybody listening. What advice do you have for service members, veterans, military spouses about planning their career as a civilian? What if they feel a little stuck, and how can the Warrior Alliance help them?
Yeah, once again, going back to, there's a lot of online tools, self-reflection tools, et cetera. Be more intentional. Oftentimes we get ourselves stuck by and bogged down by just thinking this is what I want to do without actually understanding the why. So if you can understand the why am I driving myself for this? And also, am I just locked in on this one area? And just being more intentional. A lot of times it takes having a coach that can ask you probing questions to get you to think differently. But yeah, I would say that would be the biggest thing. Also going in with a open mindset, a growth mindset. And guess what, guys? When you transition as much as I have, sometimes you go from one job to another job, and you might have to take a pay cut. But in the long run, you're going to be making money better. Because there's a saying, you can climb the ladder. I climbed the lattice. I was going back and forth, right?
So, okay,
so you can move up without climbing the ladder per se.
And Wellstar is a company, obviously you're a living example of this, that there's room for growth. You can move up within. They hire from within first? I mean, they promote from within first?
So and typically, and we just heard that at MIC, that all large organizations first look, is it an internal applicant? Is it a referral? And also from there, on the speed that you place your application. So if you see a job that you want, don't wait 2 weeks and ponder on it. Go ahead and submit for it.
Right.
You can always withdraw if you figure out it's not for you.
No, it's so important, and I think people do. I think they do hesitate, right? Mm-hmm. And it goes back to that being sure that you're able to do this job or have the skills needed. But that's what coaching is for, and that's what Wellstar is committed to doing, is helping those veterans figure out where in the puzzle that they do fit.
Absolutely. And all of our leadership, comes together. We celebrate veterans on. We recognize Memorial Day. We celebrate veterans on Veterans Day, and so full support from our senior leadership, which is just an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I love it. And anybody that's supporting our bravest men and women and the families that are so committed to those warriors, we're fans of here at the Warrior Alliance, as you might imagine. But what makes you tick outside of work? Randy, you said you've done 8 different jobs inside Wellstar. You've been a police officer. You've been a Marine. What makes you, Mike? What keeps you ticking?
For me, it's volunteering. It's I go to Amazing Church, His Hands up in Woodstock. I just did a 6-week series up there. If you ask me to quote Bible scripture, I can't do that.
Yeah, right.
What I can do, though, is take it and open up a class. That's what I just did for people that are struggling. They want to get ahead in their job. So for me, it's not just at Wellstar, but outside of Wellstar, is helping people find their path, find their true north, per
Love
se.
that.
And if I can, especially the younger generation, how do we get them focused in a clear path forward? And to me, that's very important and very rewarding.
It always starts early, man.
Yep.
Got to get them in church and in Bible study and just church groups early. Yeah, no doubt about it. Exceptional work, obviously, and coming from a broken man like myself, I can certainly appreciate it.
And I wonder, was your faith there for you when you were a young Marine, or is this something that developed over time?
So it kind of developed more over time. I grew up religious, got into the Marine Corps. Well, in at the time of boot camp, went
Guilty.
to. I'm like, I'm going to go
Guilty.
to every religion to get out of boot camp on Sunday, so you can go to class. But then stepped away from it quite a bit. Law enforcement, when that happened, the death of my partners, kind of backslid quite a bit. That's when you start turning to other things, which isn't the best for you. And then, it's been within the past few years that I've started getting back into church and really applying and connecting with those in the community. How can I help them? We have pastors and preachers that help them from the religious side, but how can I help them from the personal side? And that's where the coaching comes in as well.
That's great.
And you just mentioned there the dark times and turning to other things.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody out there listening right now who's in those dark times and is turning to those other things. Speak to them for me.
Yeah, I do not, if you can, do not try to delay getting help, because eventually it's going to bubble up. And that's what happened for me. I went from my partners getting shot and killed in 2002, January 8th, 2002, until 2008, bottling everything up, trying to take care of that on my own, until it came to a point that I didn't really have a choice. I had to go get help at that point. And find a sounding board, find somebody to talk to, look at your resources. That's another thing that Wellstar is very passionate about, is the employees' health and well-being. Mm-hmm. We've got to be of good mindset and good health in order to take care of those others.
No doubt about it. Maybe a little bit of a lighter topic, but another thing that makes you tick is being a pickleball pro.
Yeah, as I'm getting older, and it's
so
not
much
just
fun.
It's
I
not
love
just
it too.
older, but very addictive. So yeah, people, you show up the first time and you're stuck.
Yeah, no, it is. It's hook. It'll hook you for sure. Play with families. Is a whole family thing.
So in our neighborhood, we get together as a neighborhood on Monday and Thursday nights.
Nice.
Just a great outing, and everybody has a good time.
Son, that is so much fun.
And tell us about your family, if you will. Tell us all about your people.
Yeah, so it's just me and my dogs.
Oh, you got the dogs.
There you go.
You love those dogs from back when you saved them. Yeah.
Yep. And just happy. And then I take care of my mom. She lives up in Blairsville. Dad
Beautiful
passed,
up
so
there.
I take care of her, and that's about it.
That's it. And love traveling though. Ireland.
Ireland
is
a
special place to you.
Oh, absolutely. Love going over there. So
what is it about it? Because friends of ours just came back. They took a once in a lifetime trip, and they were glowing about it as well.
Yeah. So who I travel with over there, I don't know if y'all have heard of the group Celtic Thunder. There's a singer. Colin Keegan, him and his wife are amazing, Laura. But they do a bus tour, so you can go on the bus tour. From the time you get there, they treat you like gold. They drive you everywhere. Everything's paid for within the trip, and a sense of camaraderie, right? So almost like
back to where we started,
right? And so it's everybody on the trip. You don't know each other. You're from all across the nation, but you're there for a common purpose. And Colin is just an amazing artist and host.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. Are there other places that you visited that you enjoy? Obviously not like Ireland, but other places that you're able to visit, maybe in the Marine Corps?
So
Paris Island, maybe.
At the time, Okinawa I wasn't a fan of Okinawa, but now that I'm not there, or right before I
you can appreciate
left there,
what it was.
Then I'm like, oh wow, you know, the scenery and everything over there, just the culture. Was very nice.
Yeah, no doubt. I visited a lot of places in the Navy, and looking back, man, I'm glad that I took advantage of being able to see them and not just saw the inside of some bar or something, which so many people do.
And what about your Marine Corps pride? What would you say to somebody out there who's listening who might be a teenager coming up on their time when they might be thinking about enlisting? Would you suggest the Marine Corps?
I would. I don't think that there's a right or wrong branch to join. You need to make sure that you're the right fit and that branch is the right fit for you.
Yep.
But for me, the Marine Corps was the best thing that could ever happen and has changed my life.
There you go.
Michael Collins is the Director of Organizational Development at Wellstar. You can find him at wellstar.org, LinkedIn, SGT, Sergeant Michael Collins, SGT Michael Collins. Or if you want to connect with the Warrior Alliance, you can do that at thewarrioralliance.org. Mike, thanks so much, man. We appreciate your time today.
Okay.
Hope
thank
you come back soon.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
All right.